Hey everybody, happy Tuesday. If you are like me in Ontario, you are probably freezing cold. And if you live somewhere by a beach, I'm very jealous of you. Hello, my name is Yovanka, operations at Adaptivist Group. Today I have the pleasure of doing another LinkedIn Live for work management, igniting your transformation with work management, predictions for 2025. Today I have a great panel of guests here from the Adaptivist Group, a lot of my colleagues. I can't wait to introduce them and get the show on the road. So grab your popcorn, put on a space heater if you need it, and let's get started. So first and foremost, I'm going to put up my colleague, Danny. Hey, Danny.
Hey, Yovanka, thanks for having me. Very nice to meet y'all. My name's Danny Coleman. I'm our Monday.com operations manager here at Adaptivist. So I lead our team of professional services consultants and sales folks who are laser focused on making sure that Monday.com's customers are getting all the value they can out of the platform and making sure that it's also configured properly and integrated with all of our the customers' tech stack, and they get the full value of the platform.
Awesome. Thanks, Danny. Up next, I'm going to say hi to Cannon. Hey, Cannon.
Hi, Ivanka. How are you today?
I'm great. How are you?
Good. My name's Cannon Lafferty. I started with Adaptivist 6 years ago as a Atlassian technical consultant, worked my way up to a team lead, and now I am the head of work management in North America for Adaptivist. And it's a wonderful company, and I'm glad to be here.
Awesome. Well, we love having you. Thanks, and I appreciate it. And then last but not least, our friend across the pond, Michael. Hey, Michael.
Hey, Ivanka. Thank you for having me, and thank you to the team and Cannon and Danny for being here as well. My name is obviously Michael Rudenko. I'm the head of consulting for EMEA. I've been here at Adaptivist now for just over a year, and I have to say, Ivanka, it's an absolute privilege and an honor to be here at the latter end of my career, working with some of the best engineers I have ever had the privilege to work with. They're awesome. And the team, they're always exceeding my expectations. And here we are over the pond, as you say, doing all the migrations, working alongside Canon. And you know what? We're having some fun as well.
That's awesome. Wonderful. I'm all about fun. So I completely get it. That's awesome. And you're right, we do work with the best of the best, and I'm excited to chat with everybody today about what they think. So I'm actually going to ask the audience a quick question now before we get started, and I go back to the team. Audience, please, in the chat, like in the LinkedIn Live, you can answer questions, you can ask questions, so please feel free to do so. In this next year, looking back at the past year, where we're going now, what is a trend, or what is something that you just do not want to see continue in 2025? It could be something as controversial as, I hate remote work, I want to be in an office 5 days a week, or something else like, oh, maybe stop sending me just hey on Slack and then leaving it cryptically and unsure what happened. So it could be anything. Literally, give me your most controversial opinions, give me your honest opinions, let us know. And I'm actually going to throw this question back to my team. Danny, what is one trend you do not want to see continue in 2025?
Oh, good question. Thank you. I'm going to start real selfish and real petty. I have Slack, I have Monday.com, I have Confluence, I have emails, I have blogs. I am tired of having to send the exact same message in every single platform that I use because I don't know where anybody's actually paying attention. So I'm just really frustrated that I just have to blast. If I have some important information, I have to blast it across every possible communication tool that my team uses. So let's get all of that, let's wrangle that and figure out where we're all talking. And one message, just one single source of truth would be great.
So you don't want a bat signal outside of your house when I have a very pressing question about Monday.com. Got it.
No, you have my WhatsApp, so that's fine.
That's basically a bat signal.
You can use that. I don't mind.
Yeah, that's a 2025 bat signal. Wonderful. Awesome. Well, thanks, Daddy. Cannon, what's one thing you want to see left behind and not brought into 2025?
That's a great question. I think one trend that I've seen over the last few years is application consolidation. So everyone decides that one app is going to be the app to rule them all, instead of really looking at your system of work really spanning multiple applications and being able to address different users in their application of choice with integrations.
Awesome. Michael, what about you? What's one thing you want to see left behind and not brought into 2025?
Oh, that's a hard one now to follow after those two. I'm going to have to think this through, but unified comms is what we need, really. And I do like the one software, one ecosystem to rule them all that Canon's just said. And within that, I am so excited about Rovo and AI and how we can use Rovo. And I'm starting to use it as well. And it's awesome insofar that it's my little apprentice, for want of a word. And Rovo goes out there, searches for what I want across all those systems that Danny's just spoken about. And I go, oh, at last I can just have somebody that goes and grabs it for me, brings it back to me. And then the hardest bit, though, sometimes is going, now, which one do I have to respond to? Maybe I'll get Rovo to do that for me. Back to your good self, Yanka.
That's wonderful. Yeah, Rovo is something we're all really excited about here at Adaptivist. Yeah, that's awesome. Thanks, Michael. Okay, so Danny, I'm actually going to throw it back to you now. Looking back in the last year, what were some really significant trends or changes that you observed in work management? And of course, you have the Monday.com perspective, because that's the system that you work within for our clients and for what we do here at Adaptivist. But I'd love to get your opinion on that.
Yeah, well, my answer is actually not completely Monday.com specific, and I'm going to steal the easy answer. It won't be the first time you hear it today, but AI far and away was the biggest trend that impacted work management and really all of business, regardless of your industry or your practice. AI being able to actually take the work that we do and enhance it, drive more smarter analytics, drive smarter decision making, synthesize data in a way that just kind of enhances knowledge workers and their ability to focus on what's important. That changed the game, and it's just gonna be an exponential effect from here.
Yeah, I love AI. I know some people are haters about it and like, oh, we don't know. I love it. I am pro AI.
I mean, there's obviously risks and rewards, pros and cons. I think of it as a tool like anything else. You can use it for good, you can use it for bad. As long as you understand what you're getting into and can mitigate those risks to a degree that you and your organization are comfortable with, I think the upside is enormous.
Yeah. Michael, did you want to jump in? I know we said the two letters that make you come out of like a genie in a bottle. Tell me, what do you think?
And you know, Ivanka, it's always a pleasure to be here with Danny as well, because his knowledge in the work management space is just awesome. But AI's there, yes, I agree. But what we're really looking for, and this is what I've found whenever I've been a CTO, CIO, looking at the tools that are out there, I just want somebody to tell me where I am. Am I safe? Is what we've asked for or what we're delivering what we asked for effectively? And by having such an integrated ecosystem, we're able to effectively create some customizable dashboards that focuses onto the stakeholder. So we could have the systems that we're using here be focused to supply the answers for the CTO, CIO, yeah, other stakeholders from finance, from HR. Work management systems are all about the whole ecosystem of where you are in a business. So that's what I'd like to see there. But there's also something else I'd like to see the tools help us with: remote working. Here we are. I'm across the pond. We're working collaboratively. We're working seamlessly. So let's have a tool like we have with Monday, like we have with the Atlassian ecosystem, that actually is a joy to use. And it's getting easier and easier because they're always upgrading it. Yeah. Back to your good self.
Wonderful. Thanks so much. Okay, Cannon, I'm actually going to throw a question over to you in a second. What are some unique features or updates from work management tools that have significantly impacted how teams collaborate and manage projects? Obviously, you work really close within the Atlassian ecosystem, so love to get your answer on that.
Well, I would say the one thing that people seem to forget is that, you know, these tools are designed for openness. And so when you're setting up stuff or setting up a work environment for your team, you know, you can share that with whoever you're working with so that they can keep track of what your team is working on at any given time. This cuts down on having to do meetings and, of course, coordinating across the globe. because now you don't have to, get up at 10 o'clock at night to coordinate with the rest of your team. The other thing that has been, or another thing that's a great feature of these tools is that basically anything you can do in the UI, you can do through the API. And so if you want to keep your work centralized to a specific location, you can now leverage AI and integrations to bring in data from other systems without having to hop across multiple applications through a day.
That's really cool. Michael, you've also seen quite a bit of stuff as well. What are your opinions on that?
I'd just like to expand. Absolutely, great question, and expand on what Canon was just saying there, and support him insofar that here we are. Canon's in North America. I'm in EMEA, and we use the tools as well. The tools that we're talking about here, we use to collaboratively work together. And I'm in the future, so I tell him the what do you call them now? The lucky dip, the lotto sequence every day. We don't win. Yeah, he's in the past, and by using the tools, what we're able to do is also keep a track of history. So if we're working in a compliant, like banking or health, or we need it to be audited, these systems have full traceability as well. Yeah, but also we're able to fit people's work-life balance, because people work differently in today's society, and they want a tool where it can work for them. They want to not live to work, but work to live. And these tools that are there now really do provide that facility.
Absolutely. And I'm a little bummed out you can't tell me about the winning lotto numbers.
I know. I wish I could.
Someone has to come up with a tool for that. So thanks, Michael.
Maybe Robo.
Yeah, maybe Robo. That's right. Don't quote us on that. Okay, Danny, what are some emerging trends in work management that businesses should really be focused on going into 2025? I'm curious to hear what you have on that.
Sure. So as far as emerging trends in work management goes, one clear answer that I'm seeing is this. Canon alluded to it earlier, as did Michael, this expansive ecosystem or tech stack that a lot of organizations have, and how well these tools play with each other, or don't, how well they don't play with each other. And there's kind of this battle between, do we try and take everything and jam it into one tool, and as Michael said, one tool to rule them all, or do we try and have tools that are individually fit for purpose and make sure they integrate together properly? I think the answer is a hybrid model, which is, a really easy answer to say because it doesn't commit me to anything. But making sure that organizations actually sit down and understand what the value they're getting out of individual tools are, so that they can make the right choices about where teams need to work and where they don't need to work, and consolidating or integrating appropriately.
Yeah, I think integrations are going to be the next big thing for how it is. Like, you can have all of these tools to do all these amazing things, but exactly that, how do you make it work for you? You can only put so many tools in place. You have to know how they work for you. So I completely get it. I love that. That's awesome. I'm actually just going to pass this on now about the next question. Danny, you can answer this one as well if you want, or we could also pass it on to Michael or Canon. How are AI and automations being integrated into work management platforms, and what do you foresee those technologies having on work management in the coming years? I know with Monday, when we've worked together, we've had people say they want a single source of truth, and Monday is awesome because it can integrate anything, and using Script Runner, Connect, and all these other middlewares, you can truly do that. So curious to get your opinion on this. And Michael and Canon, please jump in after this if you'd like to answer it as well, because I know AI was brought up.
Yeah, you're totally right. At this point, technologically, we can connect anything that has an API. Whether it's code-based, whether there's built-in recipes, whether you're using some sort of integration platform as a solution, there's some way that you can connect this system to that system, regardless of what those systems are, as long as the API is there. But as far as AI and automation and where we're seeing that go, I'm seeing it's really facilitating a shift from being reactive to how your work is handled and managed to being proactive about it, because it takes it so that the AI is driving the work that is being done rather than just supporting it. It sets up teams and leaders to orchestrate and really understand where the work is happening rather than just kind of like taking the data that's already there and enhancing it. So that's just kind of like a next step for AI as far as I'm concerned.
That's really cool. Michael, we said AI. You can jump in here. I know you get.
I love AI. We know that now. Yes. Everything that Danny said there, but I'm going to put a different dimension on this, if I may. And it's about business benefits and value that AI actually brings. And I'm sure that some of the people that are here in the audience, they want to understand, while we're talking about AI and other work management trends, what's always at the forefront of everything that we say is, so how will that benefit us? What's the value that it will bring? And AI, as it develops, as it matures, is helping organizations reflect upon how they're deploying systems of work, processes, and realizing value quicker. That's what AI does, actually. The time to understand what those benefits are can be, how should one say, advanced very quickly. Yeah. So I would suggest quite strongly that AI and automation, whilst it's great, it's out there, it's not the be all end all. There's other things that you have to look at, yeah, because you have to train it, you have to tutor it, for want of a word. But once you've got it into where it needs to be, it will bring those benefits and the value that you need. Back to your good self.
That's awesome. Thanks so much. We're actually just going to quickly go back to the audience. I asked that question earlier about what's the trend you want to leave in 2025? You want to leave last year and not bring into 2025? Just going to go to the audience and to see what some folks are saying. Hey, Rodney. Rodney said, this should have been an email meeting. Yes. Half an hour, 45 minutes, 1 hour of something that I could have read in 30 seconds. I completely agree with you. Oh, what else do we have? Any other comments on here? Katie says, as more work management tools unite departments in the same tool, there are so many options for visibility, planning, and cross-functional work. Communicating to stakeholders, daily work goals, KPIs becoming so much easier. Yep, absolutely. Love that. Perfect. Svenja says, besides the tools, enablement is key. A tool is only useful if you know how to use it and what. That's right. You can't just drop something. Yay, round of applause. Yay, woo. Gold stars. Love it. Shinru says, I wonder how work management platforms can address burnout and improve employee well-being. Wow, there you go. That's a $1 million question, Shinru. I love that.
Well, one way is, people think of AI as being reactive, but it can also be proactive. So, for example, as we discussed earlier about, work management being spread across multiple different applications, teams, locations, the idea of having personal AI agents out there, like monitoring other applications, letting you know what's going on, kind of giving you a heads up if there's a fire that you need to address, so that you're not having to do this routine of, have someone take an action where you're not looking and then have to draw it to your attention. And then you have to respond to that and then respond to the actual emergency in the other application. So there's a lot of ways that we can use AI proactively as opposed to just asking it questions.
Yep. That's awesome. Proactive instead of reactive. I think that's the motto for 2025. I might put that on my LinkedIn banner. We are proactive and reactive. Awesome. Michael, anything to add to that? What do you think?
Of course. So a real benefit of what we're talking about here with the burnout and improved employees' well-being is, I'll put my hand up, I am dyslexic, highly dyslexic. And when you're working remotely using Slack or other channels, social medias, it's words, lots of it, yeah, and it becomes overwhelming. Mentally, it is overwhelming, and also can cause anxiety because you want to get to the point of it, and you want to be able to help your colleagues. You don't want to let them down. So I use AI, Rovo, and I've trained my little Rovo to actually decant the most important parts of the message, so that if I've got a massive paragraph, I can then decant that and more importantly, help my burnout with the hours that I work and respond in a manner as well. And I always profess this about kindness as well, tone. When we read things, sometimes people write as they speak. So I use AI to help me to, especially in multicultural environments, to respond in a kind way, in a business kind way, to help me. Little Rovo, please look at this. Can you tell me if I'm correctly addressing this in the right way for that culture, for those people? And it's amazing the responses sometimes that you get positively. Yeah, and it really improves. Now, from a burnout point of view, it has helped me to be able to be more efficient, productive, and more importantly, understand how I can work from a global point of view with different cultures and different DNA. Back to your good self.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's funny that you mentioned that. There was that report that we released at Adaptivist a little while ago, the Mind the Generational Gap. And communication is so, you don't realize, because sometimes, if I type something, I type it the way that it's in my head and I don't really think much of it. But sometimes, you're messaging, somebody might read that and go, oh my God, like, it's very off-putting, or oh, they didn't put a smiley face at the end of the sentence, that must mean that they hate me and I'm getting fired. So it's interesting that AI, especially in tools like how we communicate on Confluence, Jira, in Monday.com, in Slack, maybe could even pop up and say, hey, I want to soften my tone, or how is this going to be perceived? That's awesome. That's a great point.
I would encourage people to read that report, because it's marvelously divided into baby boomers, Gen Z, Gen Zs, and how you communicate with each other. Yeah.
Yep.
And it's a pithy read. And would you believe I used AI to decant that for me?
There we go. Perfect. Awesome. Danny, do you have any opinions on this topic as well?
Yeah, I actually was going to briefly comment about resource management and how work management can help us understand how busy individual employees are, make sure they don't get overloaded, that kind of stuff. But I actually want to set that to the side and just applaud Michael for his answer, because I think a lot of what's happening in the world right now involves people not being able to think outside situations that are their own, and empathize with others. And so Michael having the vulnerability to share what he just did and kind of make everybody, I hope, think, hey, what are other people going through, is really laudable. And I think having the ability to take technology and hopefully help us understand what it means to be a little bit more human is kind of beautiful in a way. So well done, Michael.
Love that. Thanks so much, team. Okay, so I'm going to get back into the questions. In the meantime, to all the audience viewers, please keep asking us questions. If you have something that pops up, or you have a pressing, burning question that you want for us to take a look at, please put it in. We'll get to it, I promise. Okay, so we're going to go from working, we're talking about working within our own teams, to maybe something more external. So about our clients. Is there any examples of anything that we have done to how, success stories, or anything that we have done for some of our clients that you've noticed within work management, and how all of that can maybe get transferred into the new year? So Danny, I'm going to come back to you, because Monday.com, we had a pretty cool success story, and I want you to be the one to talk about it, and then we'll see what's happening on the Atlassian side.
Yeah, thanks so much. The opportunity to talk about this customer is really exciting. So we worked with an organization called Millennium, who does some really exciting stuff in the healthcare technology space. And they were running into challenges with their project management. They were implementing and onboarding their customers in a really highly manual way. They were using Excel documents, which is, I think, a situation that a lot of people can empathize with. At some point, we all start in Excel, right? Hopefully we can figure out how to graduate out of it. And so we got in the mix with them, and we really sat down with them, and we tried to understand how their business processes work, where their implementation and onboarding process starts, what the ultimate goals are, what other systems they're using as well. We found out that Jira is also a tool that their team uses. And we were able to build out a very templatized project management and onboarding solution for them that once we launched it and enabled their team and trained them how to use it, it actually really supercharged how quickly they were able to onboard customers. We found that they were able to ultimately bring 4 times more customers into the mix as they were prior to onboarding with Monday.com. So it was a really successful case study. They're really great people to work with. And I just thought that was a great example. We've got more information about that one on our website too.
Awesome. Wonderful. Cannon, I'm going to throw it over to you because you're also in North America with me. Is there any examples of what we've done and what your thoughts are?
There are a lot of examples. The first one that comes to mind is the work that we did with Sun Life. They view us as a strategic partner. We started off with them as doing strictly Atlassian consolidation and implementation work, but it's really expanded beyond that to custom development, DevOps work, you name it, everything along the system of work tool chain that you could imagine. And we've really, again, we've been able to help them overcome many hurdles and achieve a lot of different objectives. Then we have other customers that, again, we've been able to not just address kind of their immediate technical challenge, but also kind of carry them through the life cycle of going through a migration, going through getting settled in their new home base in the clouds, and then really start maximizing some of the features, adjacent features that are now available to them. So there's been a lot of success stories, and I'm really happy with the team and just kind of the feedback that we get on our role in helping these teams or these customers be successful.
Awesome. Yeah. The customer's right where I live, actually, in Kitchener-Waterloo. So shout out Kitchener-Waterloo to everybody watching. And I know, Cannon, you came to visit us at one point and went to Kitchener and saw it for yourself. So awesome. We appreciate it. I'm sure they do as well. Awesome. Michael, what about you? Any thoughts about anything that we've delivered out in EMEA that you really noticed made a big difference?
Yes, Cannon's absolutely right. But firstly, I must thank Danny for his kind words. That was absolutely wonderful. Being here in EMEA, as you can appreciate, we've got the whole of the Europe, all the way to Turkey as well. And we've recently worked with a client called Dijkmans. Now, there's my dyslexia. If I've pronounced it incorrectly, I do apologize. But we had a client there that required help in moving from on-prem into cloud. We moved them into the cloud successfully. They had a number of challenges. One of those was security, would you believe? And the new Atlassian ecosystem, I say new, it's matured over the years, but the security element has got more robust. So DevSecOps wise, it's there, it's at the top of its game. And we were able to help Dijkman migrate into the cloud, help them with their Confluence and all the external facing side of things that clients needed to go on, which was looking at the shoes and everything, and come in as a user, for want of a word, external user. And whilst we were doing this, we also, as a company, and this is I'm really proud of this, I have to say this, Jovanka, is we always work with the client to do knowledge transfer, give them a legacy of, here we are, we've come and helped you, you've asked us to come and do this with you, not to you, but with you along that journey. And then at the end, as part of the handover, we'll do knowledge transfer as well. So what they've now got, after we've done the hypercare and the support services and the second line support, is a system that is, I mentioned earlier, business benefits and business value. We've attained what they required. And the team came away, and we're still working with them, actually. What am I saying? We actually are still working with them because they're a great, fun people to work with. So back to your good self, if I may.
Awesome. Wonderful. And Michael, actually, I'm going to keep you on the screen, so I'm going to bring that to you as well. Misconceptions about work management platforms. Obviously, you're big into the Atlassian ecosystem. Going into 2025, when it comes to any sort of misconceptions about the platform, how would you address that? Like, what are some things you're like, oh, I'm just seeing this and I need to set the record straight. Let us know what you think. And I know you mentioned Rovo. That might be a good place to start off.
Absolutely. I alluded to earlier on being dyslexic. I'm a baby boomer. Yeah. It's not a complex system to learn. It's actually, for somebody of my generation, it's one of those systems that's easy to adopt. It's easy in many ways, and it's pleasing. The UI is awesome, and the UX, wow, whoever designed that user-centric design, they need a pat on the back. It's awesome. Yeah. So for me, that's great. We've talked about the robo side of it, but what it also affords our clients is to get to the truth quickly. They're able to produce those reports and those dashboards in a seamless manner that it's just literally click, find, and put it there. Or you can get Rovo to do it now. Absolutely awesome. Yeah.
Awesome. Cannon, what about you? What are some misconceptions that you're noticing that you want to set the record straight on?
I want to set the record straight on the notion that some of these applications themselves are difficult or confusing, as Michael alluded to. They are very customizable, which is what makes them wonderful for so many different purposes. But I would say that most of the time, people have a tendency to kind of go for the customization, lean into the customization, and it really kind of cuts off a lot of the usefulness of the tool, because now with that customization comes an education process that you have to pass on. So a lot of the customizations that we see that people are taking on because they can, once you start questioning the business value of it, or ask to say, okay, is this business value, what value does this provide to the business? It doesn't offset the cost of having to educate and maintain and update everyone on it. So basically the out of the box is they're very simple and they're very straightforward. And we encourage people to do that wherever possible. And again, look at where the application resides in the ecosystem of other applications and go for integration rather than customization.
Nice. Awesome. Michael, I think you wanted to add something to that, and then I'll jump to Danny about Monday.com.
Thank you. That's really kind of you. I think what I'd like to add as well, that is a real boon for the system. It's multi-platform. Here we are. I can use it on an iOS system. I can use it on Android, my iPad, cross-platform. So it's easy to use, absolutely, in that respect. So we're able to show our clients that, here we go, you've got your system, your main systems, but you can be anywhere in the world, as I say, at the airport, as we're all traveling, and just use your phone and be notified. It's wonderful. Back to your good self. My apologies.
It's awesome. No, please don't apologize. It's the expert hour. Anything can happen. Danny, I'm going to put you in the hot seat. Monday.com, misconceptions. We've heard it all. I think you and I, we've heard quite a bit, but tell me your top misconceptions that you want to set the record straight on.
Yeah, for me, a big misconception about Monday.com is that you buy the license, you hand it off to your team, and they're all set, and everything's going to go great. I wish that were the case. I mean, that's one way to do it for sure. And let's give major props to Monday.com's marketing team, because it is like they highlight how easy it is to use, and it truly is. Like it's genuinely an incredibly simple user experience and very powerful at the same time. But like any work management tool, you can't just set it and forget it. You need to be able to configure it to match your business processes. You need to be able to train your team and enable them to actually continue working with it, and it needs to evolve with you and your processes over time. Just trying to buy something, it's sort of like buying the ingredients for a cake, but then like not baking it. Like, yeah, it's not going to taste nearly as good if you're just trying to eat the flour and the oil. Like, you technically bought it, sure, but it's not doing what it's intended to do. Not working the way you need it to if you don't put the extra time in to make it work right.
That's a really good analogy. The cake, like you buy the Betty Crocker or whatever, the cake mix, and you're like, okay, cool. I technically have the cake, but like I haven't mixed anything. I haven't added the ingredients together. It sure as hell hasn't been baked. And also, it's not decorated, and decoration and all of that. That's the cherry on top, right? And that's the frosting and sprinkles and all the stuff that we love. So, I mean, that's what we're here for, right? We know all about that. So that's awesome. Cool. Love the cake. Okay, we're actually going to put everybody back on the screen, and we're just going to go back to see what the audience has been saying so far. I think we've seen some comments come up, some questions. Let's live react to some of them because I haven't seen any of them yet. Svenja says, when talking/speaking, you should always have the recipient in mind. That is true. I am Canadian, so I think I say sorry in every single ticket, in every single message. I'm sorry for bothering you. I'm sorry for asking you this. Sorry. Yes, that can be off-putting to some people. I've seen some people say, stop saying sorry. That's enough. But sorry, Canadians, that's just how we are.
I just want to real quick on that, Svenja. That is such a great comment, and I think one of the challenges we face with remote work is if you work remotely for so long and you're just staring at a computer, you start seeing. It's sad, but like you can start seeing people as little blocks. You start seeing them as their roles, and you stop seeing them as people. There's a dehumanizing factor that's really easy to slip into. And so it's always good to get that reminder that like, nope, that's someone on the other side of that camera with a life, a family, challenges that you don't know what they're going through. It feels like it should be so obvious, but it's so easy to forget.
Yeah, well done, Danny. And these tools, and Svenja's asked as we say, an absolutely wonderful question, because when you are sending messages or you're updating your tickets or requirements or whatever in that respect, you don't know who's on the end of that and how they are reading it. Yeah. And that's why, again, I go back to my Rovo and AI and asking Rovo or AI to say, I am sending this remark to somebody, say, in Ukraine. And then you can address it and say, they're currently undergoing certain duress in the areas that they work. How can I get this message across in a manner that doesn't cause them further stress? And it's amazing how it will do it. Yeah. To my colleagues that are in Germany, I write, as we know, different cultures have different styles of writing, different ways of working. Yeah. Working remotely like this, there you are over in Canada. Yeah. Different ways, as you said. Smileys and baby boomers. But again, these systems allow you to work collaboratively. And I hope as well with empathy. Yeah, and understand that some people digest the information a little bit slower, like I do, or some people are very fast, quick. Yeah, and again, you can use these to help be more productive. Monday.com, as you're saying, Trello is a really good example of a Kanban board, left to right, easy to use, easy to integrate, as we were saying there from a vanilla point of view. And you get those business benefits and value straight out of the box. In fact, sometimes it's too easy to use and you can get very complicated and go, help. And that's where Adaptivist comes in. We help you. We get it. We work with you.
We sure do. Awesome. Next comment that we had, I think it was from Mahood. Helping the distribution of work on the team based on some attributes and skills would be great for top management.
Yeah, agreed.
We're all nodding in agreement. Yes.
Majorly, this is a really big shift I'm starting to see, especially in Monday.com. They're like, yes, Monday, the platform, like specifically, they're saying, we know this is something people need. They need to be able to have these recommendations made to them, not have to do the manual's head work of like, okay, this person's here. They've got 4 hours here. This task takes 6 hours. Nope, that's not like, no, there's a better way to do it. And I know Monday.com's working on that. I'm sure it's not unique to them, but I'm seeing it come soon.
And this is one of the great, I'll say, beauties of Monday.com and also the Atlassian ecosystem. You can go into the Atlassian marketplace, the apps that are in there, and invariably you will find an app that's for you that can be deployed and answer these questions. To answer the one that we've got there about skills and attributes, there is an item in there. I don't know if I'm allowed to call it out, which one it is, but it's in the marketplace and it fulfills the ability to look at time recording. It looks at skills and the skills that people have got. So you're able then to look at, especially in the advanced roadmaps or roadmaps plans, as it's called now, and look at how in a Gantt view, how everything's there from a hierarchy, and then see how much work is attached to different people and produce the reports that you need. But I have to admit, though, and Danny's absolutely right, you have to set up the infrastructure. You have to set it up. You have to configure it. Yeah. And that's where Adaptivist really comes in. It listens. We listen to what you need. Yeah. And how we can satisfy that need. Amazing.
Perfect. Love it. Any other comments or questions that we have? Let's see. Debbie goes, what's an underused work management tool that teams are missing out on? Oh, Debbie, we could be here for the next hour talking about this, I think. But team, any ideas? Any thoughts?
Risk management. People tend to look at these tools that we've got within work management to fit a certain need. Requirements traceability, you can download those from the App Store. But one area that people tend not to really focus on is risk management. But within work management or the Atlassian ecosystem, in the marketplace, there is an app in there, a number of apps that satisfy that need. A lot of companies this day and age, especially in compliance, want to understand their risk profile, their risk taxonomy, how they're managing risk across the portfolio. And I have to give a plug. I'm going to say it. Rovo, go look at those risks for me. Tell me where I am and what are the risks I've really got to focus on. Have they been triggered? Have they become an issue? Do we need to address that? Yeah, I had to get the Rovo plug.
There you go. Rovo's biggest fan. Next work management event that we do, Michael's gonna be wearing a hat that says Rovo's #1 fan. So I'm all for it. I'll do it. That's awesome. Cannon, do you have any opinions on this? What are your thoughts on work management tool that's been missed out on or hasn't used that often?
I would say it's not missed out on. I just think that the just from what I've seen in working with Jira and Confluence is that they really are complementary applications. And so a lot of times people will like assign someone a Jira ticket and it has this like long, pages and pages of information in there. And really it should be very concise as this is what I need you to do for this task. And then reference background data in a Confluence page. And that kind of breakup of it really helps focus the work on what needs to be done. And then for background context, all that other stuff, that's what you should be leveraging Confluence for. And they work really well together.
Awesome. Danny, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, so I've got two answers, both automation based for teams that are still starting with work management. Just automation, just use automation. I'm really surprised by the number of teams that I work with who have Monday.com and they use it. They've got boards, they're managing their processes, but they don't have any automation configured. And it can be a little daunting, but it's not too complicated to figure out. Digging into the knowledge base a little bit will help you get there. Try it. Just the simple act of like saying, if this status is applied, then assign it to this person. Boom, instant time saved. Really easy stuff. For folks who are already on the automation journey and are looking to take it to the next step, I'm a big fan of integration platforms like Make.com or Zapier, low code, no code systems that can really help, that have existing connectors that can take Monday or Jira or HubSpot or Xero for invoice. Like they can really just connect all of this stuff without having to dive into the world of coding or Java or anything like that. It's very graphic, interface based, pretty easy to use. Again, there's always going to be an onboarding process in terms of like understanding how it works, but it's worth diving into because the power that is available if you really use it is immense.
Oh, yeah. And quick plug for Script Runner Connect. That tool can connect anything with an API. It can connect it to another tool, and that one being Monday.com. I mean, we've seen some really cool stuff that it can do, and it's actually pretty mind-blowing. So shout out to that team. They're doing great work. Can't wait to see what more they do. So awesome. Danny, while I still actually have you up on the screen, quick little question about it. So, remote work, right? How do you find that the shift towards that has influenced trends in work management? And, how are work management platforms adapting to remote work? Since, I don't know, I'd love to get your opinion on it.
Yeah, so remote work is very clearly influencing work management platforms. In a lot of ways, I think it heavily accelerated the move towards work management because, especially when we were talking about like when COVID was happening, every team was starting to work remotely by necessity, and so the need for asynchronous work, like almost overnight, just kind of crept up on us. So platforms being able to track the status of projects, comments, stuff that may have just been happening in emails, or getting lost in siloed Excel documents sitting on someone's desktop. All of this now happening in a place where there's clear visibility and transparency. Really important for teams that are working remotely. We've also got an enhanced reliance, I think, on decision making, decision logging, documentation, because things that were happening in person and everybody could see it, or maybe there was even a whiteboard where we tracked all of this stuff. You don't have that. You don't have the ability to shout down the hall to someone, "Hey, what did we say about this thing? Yeah, that was the decision we made. Great," and then action it. No, you gotta keep it documented. You need to be able to refer back to the previous decisions that you made. Being able to handle all of that tracking and keep it logged in a work management platform, super important.
Absolutely. Michael, do you have anything to add to this one?
Isn't Danny awesome? Couldn't have said it better, as they say. But there was one word that he said in there that got me where I had to come on and interrupt slightly, if I may. He mentioned COVID because prior to these applications, pre-COVID, we were going to the office more often. We were working in the office. And I alluded to earlier on that today's society, post-COVID, is more around working to live, not live to work, right? Now, with these platforms, users and leaders, they're looking to orchestrate their work so that they're not led by it. And that's what these platforms now do. This is what work management does. So for them, it helps them look at it in the whole gambit, look at the strategy, look at the vision, and more importantly, it works for them, not the other way. The tool does not drive their ways of working. The tool listens to you and says, how do you want to implement me?
Great stuff. Absolutely. I'm going to bring Cannon up on the screen to ask a quick question. In what ways are data and analytics shaping the future of work management? And also, like, how do your platforms leverage tools to make these decision-making processes? I'd love to know. You're the expert on it.
Well, I see a lot of opportunities and challenges, and clearly right now, a lot of the analytics that people do are based within singular applications. And as we start moving to more cloud-based systems, we're starting to see move to data lakes, data storage that is just bringing in raw data. And the great thing is that you now have all of the data that's going on in your ecosystem. The challenging thing is kind of the same challenge you have currently with all of these different applications trying to get notified or trying to be informed on what's going on, is really learning how to separate the signal from the noise so that you understand what's going on through all of the data that you have collected, and being able to marry up the data from one application to another to really give you a meaningful idea of how your team is performing across multiple different applications.
Awesome. Perfect. Danny, I'm going to bring you back up for this is actually going to be our final question before we go into our final thoughts, people's comments, concerns, whatever it may be. How important do you think customizations and flexibilities is in work management tools? And what are some examples that you've supported customers with? I know we mentioned AI. I know we mentioned integrations, automations, but I'd love to get some more opinions on that.
Sure. So customization you're asking someone whose whole job and day to day is built around customizing these tools. So I'm going to say it's key. Like, you can't live without it, in my opinion, because you can have Jira, you can have Monday.com, you can have any work management platform. and it'll come with templates. And those templates are, they might get you there like 10% of the way or 15%, maybe even more. But at the end of the day, eventually you're going to run into a situation where those templates do not match your actual business process. They don't meet your requirements. And so being able to take these tools and actually build out the data points you need, build out the workflows that are relevant to you and your team is how you're really going to get value out of it. Otherwise, you're just kind of working with an Excel sheet that's on steroids. Like to really build it out, you need to put some thought and process into it. And that comes with a hard challenge too, because that means you need to make sure you understand how your team works. That in itself can be a journey to really like dive in and be like, okay, so this is what we actually do, map it out, build a process map, and then translate that into Monday.com or ideally more than translate it, make sure that the process is improved by being in a work platform. So I think it's absolutely key. Can't live without it.
Oh, how a discovery shines light on processes that you're like, wait, why do we even do this? And a deeper, more, conversation snowballs from that. But yeah, awesome. Thanks, Danny. I'm going to put everybody back on the screen now, just so we can maybe look at any other comments or anything that's popped in through the chat, just so we can get our live reactions before we say our final thoughts and goodbyes, and we all cry a little bit because this expert hour is coming to a close. So let's see what we have. Katie says sometimes it's good to get the teams on the tools so that they learn and think Jira or think Monday.com. At some point, you have to optimize for cross-functional work.
I agree with that. I also want to throw so yes, I was saying like, you got to customize it. That doesn't mean that's where you have to start, right? Do not, the whole boil the ocean phrase is a little trite, but I use it here. Don't like get to the point where you think I have to build everything perfect. Perfect is the enemy of good. Start. That's like my absolute top recommendation when it comes to AI or automation. Anything that seems daunting, just start somewhere. Because until you start, you're not going to understand where you should go. If you try and do it all at once, you're gonna do it wrong. Sorry. Like there are hard lessons learned no matter what system or process you're talking about. Just start, see where it takes you, build on that intelligently, and iterate.
And I would say the other, real quick to jump in there, sorry to Danny, didn't mean to cut you off. But I would say with that, like make sure that, I've also seen where customization's gone wild and nobody understands it. So really, in customizing these applications, really, A, know your audience, and B, kind of understand the trade-offs of if you make a highly customized workflow or something like that, make sure that you're involving the user community that you're working with, so that you don't end up customizing yourself and painting yourself into a corner, as they say.
Just to add as well, the systems that are out there, especially with the Atlassian ecosystem, is that they're scalable. So you can actually start small with less than 10 users. And Danny, I've got to agree with you. Just play around, have some fun, in your own private subscription, and it's less than 10. It's free, and then when you're ready to scale. And these systems, Monday.com and the Atlassian systems, they scale, and they can scale very quickly.
Awesome. Let's see. Any other comments that we have before our closing thoughts? Rodney says, my favorite misconception for work management is our org is too small to need it. That's usually when you need to set it up before things get too big. Oh my gosh, Rodney, I have heard this so many times. We don't need it. We're lean. We're quick. Yeah. That's dangerous. Oh, I feel like everyone just got like a panic attack thinking about that.
I don't have any comments, no notes.
So one thing we've seen as organizations grow, we've seen it at Adaptivist, and I've seen it at some of our clients, is that processes can be very specific to individuals in a very small organization. And as you scale, you have to kind of simplify that process and spread it out and democratize it. And that part of it, there's the psychological aspect of it, which is really difficult to get across. But then also, making sure that the work management system or process that you have goes along with that to democratize that process.
And I'll just support that. What is always at people's forefront of their mind is cost. These systems are scalable, and you can start free, and you can play, and you can go and create the systems that you want and the way it works, and then add on to it from either the Atlassian marketplace and or the Monday marketplace, and add as you see fit that fits within your cost envelope.
And do the cost benefit analysis as you go. Understand, okay, I'm paying X for licenses, but this is saving me Y amount of time. That's a certain number.
Rovo.
I feel like I've heard about. Can you tell me more about this Rovo?
Danny, I'd love to. Let's catch up and talk about it.
Buy you a Rovo hat.
Yeah. On the next session of Expert Hour. We have the expert on Rovo. Awesome. One more comment before I do my quick closing remarks. LinkedIn user. Ooh, how cryptic. The never-ending debate about sending people back to the office needs to stay in 2024. The best companies offer choice and trust the people to do their job. Absolutely correct. On the money. I love it. Trust, pragmaticism, doing the right thing. If somebody wants to go to the office 5 days a week, more power to them. If somebody wants to never show their face in the office, but yet still delivers on their work, happy for them as well. Do we all agree with that? Yeah.
I've got people in a couple of weeks going on holiday, and they're going to be on the beach, and they've already said, "Oh, darling, I can use the system." They're on the beach enjoying themselves. Yeah.
I had that with my manager one time. Rodrigo, if you're listening to this recording, it's the time that you called me from the desert. Danny, do you remember that when he was literally, I think it was in Morocco or Tunisia. He was somewhere on a desert. It was the worst reception I've ever seen on a video call. And I'm like, "Are you in a desert right now?" "Yeah." I'm like, log off. I know Zoom works, but log off. Enough. I know you're gonna get it done. Enjoy it.
100% trust. That's got to start at the top. It's got to go down to every leader. Track outputs, not inputs.
Absolutely. Awesome. And it looks like we are almost at the hour. Closing remarks. Team, does anybody have closing remarks or anything that you want to say to the great audience now and who's watching the recording later about 2025 predictions? What are your thoughts on everything?
I'd just like to say, at the latter end of my career, I could not have asked for a better bunch of people to work with and more importantly, I'm having fun. It's amazing.
Awesome. Cool.
The feeling's mutual, Michael.
Thank you.
We all love it. Perfect. All right, everybody. Well, thank you so much for joining us on this Expert Hour, where we talked about predictions for 2025 and work management. Be on the lookout. There's going to be more Expert Hours coming soon. Take a look at the other ones across our different practices as well. There's some really cool stuff happening there. There is a webpage that we have on our website, the 8 work management predictions for 2025. If you want to just do a quick little recap, there's that there, and I'm sure this recording will also be available after the fact. But if you have any questions and didn't get time to answer them, or something has come to you after the fact, please drop us a message. All of our inboxes are open. You can also email us. You can, on our website, drop in an inquiry. Somebody on our team will get back to you, and they will answer this for you. So thank you, everybody, so much for joining us. Team, thank you for being the experts this hour. Appreciated hosting you. A big cheers from Canada. Hope you all have an amazing rest of the week. Take care. Cheers. Bye, everybody. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.